If you are over 60 and you have burning feet, numb toes, feelings like electric shocks, tingling, or unsteady balance, these are not just normal signs of getting older. They come from changes inside your body that have built up slowly over many years. Most people are told that peripheral neuropathy means the nerves simply wear out with age, like an old car that gradually stops running well. Some hear it is genetic and nothing can be done. Often the message, direct or indirect, is to just manage the pain and accept that things will keep getting worse. What is rarely explained is that nerves do not fail for no reason. They react to the chemical environment around them, to blood flow, and to the daily metabolic signals they receive. When that environment turns harmful, nerves get damaged. When it becomes more supportive, nerves can often keep more function than most people expect. Peripheral neuropathy is not one single disease. It is a pattern of nerve damage. It happens when the peripheral nerves, the long pathways that connect the brain and spinal cord to the rest of the body, start to malfunction. These nerves carry signals for sensation, movement, balance, temperature, and pain. Because they are very long and need a lot of energy, they are extra sensitive to problems like unstable blood sugar, poor circulation, inflammation, and missing nutrients. That is why symptoms usually appear first in the feet and hands, the points farthest from the heart and most dependent on tiny blood vessels. Important point: nerve damage develops quietly for a long time before you notice anything. For years, sometimes decades, nerves deal with steady but hidden metabolic stress without clear signs. During this silent phase, damage accumulates. Proteins in the nerve fibers change shape, blood vessels stiffen, the protective coating thins, and electrical signals slow or become less accurate. The nervous system compensates for a while, masking the early issues. By the time burning, numbness, or unsteadiness appears, the damage is already significant. This delay is why neuropathy often feels sudden and unfair, even though it grew step by step. In many cases, a major cause is a group of compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These form when glucose molecules permanently attach to proteins and fats in the body. The attachment is not harmless. It changes the structure and function of those tissues. Once created, AGEs are hard to remove and build up over time. They especially harm tissues that need flexibility, accurate signaling, and good tiny blood flow. This makes peripheral nerves a prime target. To understand why AGEs matter, look at the process at a molecular level. Glucose is essential fuel, but it is also chemically reactive. When blood sugar stays high for long periods, glucose collides with proteins more often. Under certain conditions, this creates permanent, stiff, sticky bonds. It is similar to how sugar caramelizes when heated in cooking. In the body, it happens slowly and steadily when glucose control is not ideal. The result is tissue that is less flexible, less efficient, and more prone to inflammation. Inside peripheral nerves, AGEs attack three main areas at once. They alter the nerve fibers themselves, disrupting proteins needed for proper electrical signals. They damage the myelin sheath, the fatty insulation that allows fast, smooth signal transmission. Injured myelin slows signals, weakens them, or makes them erratic. They harm the small blood vessels, capillaries, that supply oxygen and nutrients to the nerves. When these tiny vessels stiffen or narrow, nerves become undernourished and weak. This triple hit explains the variety of symptoms: burning pain from irritated overfiring fibers, numbness from lost signals, tingling from irregular firing, weakness from poor muscle instructions, and balance problems from unreliable sensory information reaching the brain. Symptoms differ in combination and intensity, but the underlying pattern is often similar. One fact many miss: a fasting blood sugar test gives only a limited picture. Many people with neuropathy are told their glucose is normal because fasting levels fall within the reference range. But fasting only captures the daily low point, not the damaging highs. The greatest risk for AG formation occurs after meals, when blood sugar rises and stays elevated for hours. These repeated post-meal spikes drive nerve damage over many years. As we age, the body becomes less efficient at clearing glucose from the blood. Muscle mass decreases, insulin sensitivity drops, and sugar lingers longer after eating. This does not mean aging itself directly causes neuropathy. It means aging reduces metabolic flexibility. When combined with common modern habits, frequent snacking, late-night eating, and processed foods, it sets up ideal conditions for AG buildup. Vitamin B12 plays another critical role. It helps maintain healthy myelin, supports DNA production in nerve cells, and clears harmful waste products. B12 absorption often declines with age and worsens with medications like acid blockers and metformin. Low B12 removes an important protective factor for nerves, allowing damage to progress instead of being repaired. Standard blood tests can miss functional B12 deficiency. Levels may appear normal, but still be insufficient for nerve needs. This gap leaves many people at risk without realizing it. By the time symptoms appear, the deficiency may have existed for years. Dietary ages are another overlooked factor. Ages form not only inside the body, but also in food. High-heat cooking methods, grilling, frying, roasting, browning, create large amounts of preformed ages. These get absorbed into the body and add to the total load. Even with good blood sugar control, certain cooking habits can accelerate tissue damage. Switching to gentler, lower heat methods, steaming, poaching, slow cooking, significantly reduces this intake. Once damage begins, inflammation makes everything worse. Ages trigger immune responses that maintain chronic nerve irritation. This is why symptoms often intensify at night, when circulation slows and inflammatory signals persist. It also explains how neuropathy disrupts sleep, creating a vicious cycle. Poor sleep worsens insulin resistance, raises stress hormones, and increases glucose spikes the next day, which produce more ages and inflammation, harming sleep further. Movement is one of the most effective ways to interrupt this cycle. Muscles pull glucose out of the blood after meals. Even short walks can substantially lower post-meal sugar levels. The benefit is not mainly about weight loss or intense exercise. It is about improved metabolic control. Regular movement reduces the raw materials for ages and enhances blood flow to nerves. Muscle strength also matters. Losing muscle reduces glucose uptake capacity. Gentle resistance exercises preserve muscle, support metabolism, and indirectly protect nerves. This benefit is often underappreciated because it works gradually, not with instant relief. Hydration supports blood flow and metabolic cleanup. Dehydration makes blood thicker, reduces capillary flow, and concentrates glucose. Many older adults drink less without noticing, quietly increasing nerve risk. Consistent fluid intake improves vascular health with minimal effort. Stress influences neuropathy through hormones. Chronic stress raises cortisol, which elevates blood sugar and promotes insulin resistance. Stress alone does not cause neuropathy, but it worsens the metabolic conditions that damage nerves. Simple stress reduction techniques lighten this burden and improve stability. One of the most harmful beliefs about neuropathy is that worsening is inevitable. This mindset discourages action and leads to passive acceptance of decline. While severely damaged nerves may not fully recover, many partially affected ones can stabilize and function better in an improved environment. People frequently report reduced pain, better balance, improved sleep, and higher quality of life when new damage slows or stops. The goal is not perfection, it is protection. Every hour of stable blood sugar is an hour without chemical attack on nerves. Each better night of sleep aids repair. Each reduction in inflammation improves signaling. Over time, these small gains accumulate, just as the earlier losses did. Peripheral neuropathy is not merely a nerve problem. It is a metabolic issue that shows up first in nerves. Viewing it this way shifts it from an unstoppable fate to something you can influence. The focus changes from only managing symptoms to stabilizing the root causes. This offers no miracles, but something more reliable, real control over the process. And that control matters a great deal. As people understand that peripheral neuropathy comes from long-term metabolic stress, not sudden nerve failure, another important realization often appears. The nervous system does not work by itself. It is closely connected to many other parts of the body. Blood vessels, muscles, hormones, the immune system, and even the gut all play roles in whether nerves stay healthy or get weaker. This explains why neuropathy rarely comes alone. It usually arrives with tiredness, sleep problems, digestion changes, balance difficulties, or mild brain fog. These are not separate issues. They are different signs of the same underlying imbalance. One factor that is often overlooked is ongoing high blood sugar after meals, even when it does not reach the level of diabetes. Many people spend years in this in-between zone. Glucose spikes too high and stays elevated too long after eating, but standard tests still look normal. During this time, ages build up silently. Because there is no clear diagnosis, people assume everything is fine. But neuropathy does not need an official label. Nerves simply react to the chemical conditions around them, not to test cutoffs. Clearing glucose from the blood depends heavily on muscles. After eating, insulin signals muscles to take in and store sugar. When muscle mass decreases, which happens naturally with age if not maintained, this process becomes less efficient. Glucose lingers in the bloodstream longer, increasing glycation. This is a big reason neuropathy risk rises as we get older, even in people who stay slim and appear healthy. They may have lost significant muscle without strength training. This muscle-glucose connection also shows why regular activity strongly protects nerves, even if diet stays the same. Short walks after meals reduce the size and duration of sugar spikes. Over months and years, this means fewer ages, less inflammation, and better blood flow to nerves. The effect starts small, but becomes very meaningful over time. It attacks the root cause more directly than treatments that only target symptoms. The blood vessel system is central to the whole picture. Nerves rely on a delicate network of tiny vessels that are very vulnerable to glycation and oxidative stress. Ages make vessel walls stiff, reduce nitric oxide, which helps vessels relax and widen, and limit needed blood flow. This causes a chronic mild shortage of oxygen and nutrients, especially in the longest nerves farthest from the heart. That is why feet are usually affected first, not because feet are weak, but because they are the farthest from the main blood supply. This vascular problem also explains why symptoms often feel worse in cold weather or at night, times when circulation naturally slows. It also shows why past smoking increases risk so much. The vessel damage lasts for years and adds to the metabolic injury. Inflammation runs through the entire process like a thread. Ages activate special receptors that start inflammatory cascades. These increase oxidative stress, damage the energy centers inside nerve cells, mitochondria, and make insulin resistance worse. Inflammation both comes from damage and causes more damage. This creates a feedback loop that can make neuropathy speed up once symptoms begin, even if lifestyle does not change much. Sleep is a crucial repair period. During deep sleep, inflammation decreases, insulin sensitivity improves, and growth factors help maintain and repair tissues. When neuropathy disturbs sleep, this nightly recovery window shortens. Over time, poor sleep harms metabolic control and accelerates nerve damage. Because of this two-way relationship, even small improvements in sleep can bring surprisingly large benefits. Eating late at night is particularly harmful in this context. Food close to bedtime raises blood sugar at a time when insulin sensitivity is naturally lower. This prolongs high glucose levels and interrupts overnight repair processes. Simply moving the last meal earlier in the evening often improves sleep quickly and gradually eases neuropathy symptoms. No new medications or special foods required, just better timing that matches the body's natural rhythms. Gut health also affects nerves. The digestive system controls nutrient absorption, immune balance, and body-wide inflammation levels. Poor gut function or chronic irritation can reduce absorption of key nutrients like B vitamins, magnesium, and others that nerves need. It can also trigger low-grade inflammation throughout the body. Gut issues rarely cause neuropathy by themselves, but they raise the risk and slow recovery. Improving gut health improves the overall environment for nerves. The emotional side deserves attention too. Constant discomfort, uncertainty about the future, and fear of getting worse can lead to anxiety or low mood. These mental states disrupt sleep, raise stress hormones, and reduce motivation for self-care. This creates another reinforcing cycle, psychological but with very real physical effects. Breaking the cycle requires compassion, support, realistic expectations, and moving away from self-blame. Not every case of neuropathy is caused by metabolic problems. Autoimmune diseases, infections, toxins, chemotherapy, injuries, and certain genetic conditions can also damage nerves. However, Even in those situations, metabolic health influences how severe the damage becomes and how quickly it progresses. Stabilizing blood sugar, reducing inflammation, and supporting circulation help protect nerves regardless of the original trigger. That is why these metabolic steps are considered foundational for almost everyone. When people start making changes to improve their metabolic environment, improvements usually arrive quietly and gradually. Pain may lessen slightly. Sleep improves. Balance feels more reliable. Some temperature sensation or touch may return in small ways. These changes can be easy to miss if someone expects dramatic reversals, but they are real. They show that new damage is slowing and remaining nerves are working better. Track progress over weeks and months, not day to day. Nerve recovery is naturally slow. Metabolic improvements take time to show. Good days and bad days are normal. One difficult day does not cancel out earlier gains. Looking at longer trends gives a more accurate and encouraging picture. In more advanced neuropathy, the main goal becomes preservation. Stopping further loss of function can dramatically improve daily life. Less intense pain, better sleep, and more stable balance support continued independence. These improvements matter a great deal, even when full sensation does not return. Medical care remains essential. Any sudden change or rapid worsening needs prompt evaluation to rule out other causes. Medications for symptom relief should only be stopped or changed under a doctor's guidance. Lifestyle steps support medical treatment. They do not replace it. Research continues to change how we view neuropathy. What was once accepted as an inevitable part of aging is now understood as a modifiable process shaped by lifestyle, metabolism, and overall health. Complete reversal is not possible for everyone, but many people have far more influence over their course than previously believed. The biggest shift is in perspective. Neuropathy does not simply happen to someone. It develops in a specific internal environment. Change that environment, and you change the outcome, not instantly or completely, but meaningfully. Long-term management of peripheral neuropathy depends more on consistent small habits than on dramatic fixes. Nerves respond to steady patterns, not occasional perfection. One good week followed by months of old habits does very little. But modest positive steps maintained over years can change the direction of decline. This may feel slow in a world that wants quick solutions, but it matches how biology actually works. Aging naturally brings changes that increase neuropathy risk. Insulin sensitivity declines, mitochondria function less efficiently, and low-grade inflammation slowly rises. These shifts occur even in people who maintain healthy weight and appearance. They are gradual and easy to ignore until symptoms finally appear. Recognizing this reframes neuropathy as the slow result of small changes accumulating over decades. Aging also weakens the connection between nerves and muscles. Motor neurons gradually withdraw from some muscle fibers, leaving muscles partially disconnected. Surviving neurons try to compensate, but there are limits. Over time, movement precision decreases, balance becomes less accurate, and nerve-to-muscle signals weaken. This increases fall risk and reduces activity, which accelerates muscle loss and metabolic problems. Foot care becomes extremely important as neuropathy advances. Reduced sensation raises the risk of unnoticed injuries, ulcers, infections, or pressure sores. Daily foot inspections become a necessary habit. Wearing proper shoes, keeping skin moisturized, and monitoring for calluses, cracks, or nail changes help prevent serious complications. Many major disabilities linked to neuropathy actually come from preventable foot problems that went unnoticed because of lost feeling. Chronic pain also changes how the brain processes signals. Sensory, emotional, and attention areas can become oversensitive, a process called central sensitization. This amplifies pain and lowers tolerance. That is why neuropathy care must include ways to calm the central nervous system. Practices like slow, deep breathing, gentle mindfulness, or light movement can reduce perceived symptom intensity even when peripheral damage remains unchanged. Pay attention to key nutrients that support nerve health. Vitamin B12 deficiency can mimic or worsen neuropathy symptoms. Magnesium helps with nerve signaling and muscle relaxation. Supplements should only be started after testing and with medical advice, but knowing these connections helps identify correctable factors. Hydration affects blood thickness and flow. Even mild chronic dehydration reduces microcirculation and limits oxygen delivery to nerves. The sense of thirst often weakens with age, increasing the risk. Consistent, appropriate fluid intake supports circulation with almost no effort. Social connections provide unexpected benefits. Loneliness raises stress, harms sleep, and reduces motivation for self-care. Staying connected with family, friends, support groups, or community supports emotional well-being and indirectly improves physical outcomes. Many people find movement and healthy routines easier and more consistent when done with others. Fear of worsening can quietly limit choices. Some people avoid activity to prevent pain or falls, but this actually accelerates decline. Replacing fear with informed, cautious steps is essential. Properly adapted exercise is far safer than complete inactivity. Nerves benefit from gentle, regular stimulation. Doing nothing signals the body that the area is no longer needed, reducing repair priority. Regular doctor appointments for chronic conditions can sometimes feel rushed. Coming prepared with clear notes about symptoms, recent changes, and specific questions leads to more productive visits. Advocating for yourself improves care. It is not confrontation. It is necessary for good long-term management. Caregivers need support as well. Watching a loved one deal with constant discomfort is emotionally difficult. Understanding that progress is uneven and that ups and downs are normal helps set realistic expectations. Supporting caregivers ultimately helps the person with neuropathy. Over time, the power of small helpful choices becomes clear. People who consistently focus on metabolic stability, regular movement, good sleep, and emotional well-being often experience slower progression and fewer complications. Symptoms may remain, but they become more manageable. Life stays active and meaningful instead of increasingly restricted. The most powerful idea is this: neuropathy is a condition you have. It is not who you are. You are still a person with history, relationships, skills, interests, and goals. Holding on to that identity prevents the condition from taking over more of your life than necessary. B vitamin levels deserve early and regular attention. Checking B12, folate, and B6, especially after age 50 or when taking medications like metformin or acid reducers, can catch deficiencies before nerve health suffers seriously. Early correction through diet, sublingual forms, or injections when appropriate strengthens the myelin maintenance and repair systems that make nerves more resilient. Hydration, sleep, and stress management are basic preventive tools. Drinking enough water daily keeps blood thin and microcirculation healthy. Consistent good sleep protects the nightly repair window when inflammation drops and insulin sensitivity improves. Simple stress relief practices, deep breathing, short walks, time in nature, prevent chronic cortisol elevation that drives glucose up and worsens insulin resistance. For families, prevention creates shared benefits. Many of the habits that protect nerves also reduce risks for heart disease, cognitive decline, type 2 diabetes, and other age-related conditions. When older family members adopt earlier meal timing, regular gentle movement, lower heat cooking, and nutrient awareness, younger generations naturally follow. Children and grandchildren learn that metabolic health is built day by day, not lost suddenly in later life. Conversations about neuropathy can shift from frightening warnings, "You don't want to end up like this," to empowering, practical advice, "Here's what I wish I had started earlier." Sharing simple changes, family walks after dinner, gentler cooking methods, makes prevention feel approachable rather than overwhelming. Screening is important too. Regularly tracking fasting glucose, HbA1c, and, when possible, post-meal levels can spot early metabolic drift. Even within normal ranges, a slow upward trend over years can motivate small adjustments before permanent damage accumulates. Asking about B12 and other nerve-supporting nutrients during routine checkups is another simple preventive step. One of the best preventive attitudes is curiosity instead of resignation. Rather than assuming nerves just fail as you age, people who stay curious about how daily choices affect their biology make more protective decisions. They notice how certain foods, late eating, or routines influence energy, sleep, or subtle foot sensations. That awareness drives steady improvements long before symptoms demand attention. Prevention is not about flawless performance or zero decline. It is about collecting small protective factors year after year so the downward slope becomes much gentler. Someone in their 70s or 80s who has only occasional mild tingling, good balance, and reasonable sensation has usually followed these principles quietly for decades, not through extreme measures, but through consistent habits. The information here is not hidden or overly complicated. It comes from decades of research into metabolism, glycation, inflammation, nerve biology, and aging. What has often been missing is a clear, practical way to connect these pieces, especially for people over 60 who are experiencing symptoms or supporting loved ones who are. Peripheral neuropathy does not have to be a mysterious or unstoppable sentence. It is a late signal, a warning that the internal environment has drifted too far from balance for too long. The hopeful reality is that the same environment that allowed damage can usually be gently guided back toward conditions that slow, stabilize, or partially restore function. You do not need to undo decades of change overnight. You only need to stop adding to the problem starting right now, and keep doing that tomorrow and the next day and onward. Every hour of more balanced blood sugar, every gentle walk, every better night of sleep, every reduction in inflammation casts a small vote for nerve preservation. Over months and years, those votes add up. They do not erase all past damage, but they rewrite the story, from inevitable worsening to managed stability, from resignation to realistic hope, from helplessness to meaningful influence. That shift, from nothing can be done to I can influence quite a lot, is where real change begins. And once it begins, it usually keeps going.